What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. How is everybody doing? I'm popping on here super casually on this Sacred Friday design video. And most of the time I have something planned for these videos, and today I had a really tough day today. I had a very deep kind of feeling day, and I'll get into that later if you guys care to find out. But something that came up, and I'm here finger knitting something for my dear friend's wedding that I am planning and officiating this weekend. So there's just a lot going on right now, which is good, all good stuff. But here's what I wanted to share with you. And one of my deep reflections today, as I was going through um, riding the waves of a lot of emotions, riding the waves of a lot of deep feelings that were coming to the surface. And one of the most beautiful things that you may or may not have heard me talk about, and it's something that I've been um, studying for a long time and that I'm so fascinated by. If I wasn't doing interior design, I would just talk about this, which is masculine feminine polarity. That probably is my that other most important thing of my life, which honestly I function around contemplating masculine feminine polarity all the time. It's just part of what I'm fascinated by. And so anyways, today as I was going through a lot of feelings. I was experiencing a lot of guilt, mom's guilt. Raise your hand if you know what that feels like. I was experiencing a lot of um, self like judgment. Like I was just being really, really hard on myself today about my business, about my work, about deadlines, about the way I'm being with the kids or not being with the kids. I was very judgmental about things I've done in the past. I started just in this like spiral of judgment and unkindness towards myself in my thoughts because I wasn't focusing on my feelings, which were coming up, right? And so I don't know if this makes sense to you guys. I would love to know if you're interested in this because I absolutely love talking about this. And if you are down to have a masculine feminine powwow, I would love that. Um, but so what I was thinking so much about is that in my work, I focus a lot on the feminine because that is the creative part of us, right? It's that wild, creative force within us. And a lot of us, obviously, as mothers and as lovers and as sisters and daughters, most likely identify with that part of us, the feminine part. But the thing that's really important to remember is that within us, there are both sides, right? It's the sun and the moon, it's the light and the darkness, it's the female and the masculine, is the yin and the yang. And in that, in understanding that duality and that polarity between ourselves, we get to become for ourselves what we need and what we oftentimes think we need from others. And here's where I'm making my point. Today, I was really becoming aware of this conversation I was having in my mind and this judgment towards my expression of my feelings. And I was driving a lot today, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking and thinking and thinking until I finally, sometimes it takes a bit, until I finally sort of gained a little perspective, and I realized the masculine within us is the part of us that has that bird's eye view. It's that part of us that it's the conscious, the elevated part of us that can see what we are going through, how we are falling apart, how we are freaking out for whatever reason it was. And so when we can catch ourselves and when we can allow that masculine part of us to hold us, to contain us, to become a vessel where we can fully flow in whatever way, in whatever color, expression, whatever emotion it is that we are experiencing, then we are allowed to fully feel those expressions and those emotions. And guess what? They are fleeting, they don't last, they pass by, right? Sometimes they take a little longer. But in any case, that's not our new permanent state. And so today, when I was thinking of, okay, what, I was in this feeling feminine way, right? And I was thinking, what is one masculine calling? How can I invoke the masculine within me right now to hold me in where I'm at? And that's when I thought about my house. And here's the full disclaimer. I realized that this particular week, we just signed a new lease. I'm renting this house, and we just signed a new lease for 2 years. And I realized that in that story of, I don't own this house, I'm renting this house, I was feeling ungrounded and not stable. Like I wasn't allowing myself to even have roots that go deep and ground me. I realized that today for two reasons. One, part of why I started feeling funky and like yucky was because I asked my lover, I asked my boyfriend to do something very out of his comfort zone for my birthday, which is coming up in a few days. And and he didn't want to, right? And so I went into this story around it. And as I was thinking of that, I realized there's a part of me expecting him to be that groundedness for me. And of course, that is absolutely beautiful and okay. And we need that. I don't ever like to go into this conversation of, the feminine doesn't need the masculine or anything like that whatsoever. That is totally the opposite of what I'm saying. We need each other. However, what we don't need is to expect someone or something outside of us to ground us. We need to be able to cultivate for ourselves as leaders of this age the masculine within ourselves. And so today, as I was looking at this gallery wall that I undid the other day in my home, and I took a bunch of pictures down and artwork down, and I've been really wanting to make it very, very special, but no ideas have flown through me just yet. So I've been waiting and I've been simmering, and I walk by the wall and I look at it, and I'm connecting to the energy area that it's in my home, that area, that wall is located in my home, which is our well-being area. Very interesting also because it's the area where our general sense of well-being, our mental health, our spiritual, our physical. So it's a big important area. It's almost like excuse me, the vortex of where all energy travels to and from within your home. That's usually in the very center of the house. And so that's where this wall is. And when I was sitting there contemplating this wall, I I just realized, what if we allowed ourselves to have our home in such a way, to keep up with our home in such a way that we are honoring it and we are worshiping it and we are loving it as the temple where we can be contained. To me, that's when I really click with these experiences. I remember that our home is our masculine. Our home is this physical space, and that's what masculine is about. It's a container to hold you in your full expression. Our body is our masculine, right? This is our container, our skin, our, in our relationships, there's usually one person who identifies more as a masculine, and in our home. And so, what if instead of us getting into the habitual feminine ways of nagging and yelling and being resentful and, you know, getting like holding back the anger and not fully expressing it, or even the opposite, being the good girl who washes the dishes every single day and puts the laundry away and blah, 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 blah. What if instead we were authentic with our expression, because our home is holding us and it's a safe space to practice our full authentic expression, so that if we need to rage, if we need to yell, if we need to scream, if we need to cry our eyes out like I did today, we can. And to be honest, today I extended that even to my car, where I was like, this car, man, this car has seen some serious tears for me. I have cried in this car so much. And I felt so grateful for that experience of this vehicle containing my experiences. I know that sounds ridiculous in a way, but in another way, I really, like, I could start crying again. I really felt the gratitude around that realization of what's going on with my hair, realization of, if we could only allow these external spaces, through the way that we treat them, through the reverence that we honor them with, and create these meticulous containers out of our homes to hold our hearts and hold our tears and contain our feminine, desires, then what we are able to do is cultivate that practice, so that when we step outside the home, when we go into the workspace, when we go into the chaotic, crazy world, and we take our kids to school and we have our meetings with our exes as we're dropping off our kids. This happened to me today. And as we have to face the challenging things outside, we know what it's like to be authentic in those moments. And we get to play with that sense of polarity in a moment to moment, where if my only focus is to be authentic to my feminine heart, which is the part of us that is leading the world, then this is the part that hit me. And I learned this from one of my dear teachers, John Wyland, who studies and works under the lineage of David Data. And he said, if you don't allow your feminine expression to just be free, you are essentially not just being selfish with yourself, but being selfish with the world, because it doesn't benefit them outside of you to not see your full revealing of your heart. When you can fully reveal your heart as it is in that moment, and your full emotion through your body language, through your actions, through your words, you are actually doing someone else and everyone else a service, so that they too become authentic in their expression of where they're at. So this is taking me deep into remembering that this beautiful container that our bodies and our homes are for our souls are not just meant to be our shelter where we dwell and sleep and eat and fuck. They are actually the spaces where we practice our devotion to the divine. They are the spaces where we practice our connection and our alignment to this vast, infinite consciousness outside and within us. And then we're able to show up in that exact way in all of our relationships, which takes us to a space of genuine integrity when who we are on the outside and who we are on the inside, how other people see us and how we see ourselves becomes one cohesive message. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And it's a super vulnerable thing in a super vulnerable time. Um, don't even ask me what's going on astrologically because I don't. I decided that I'm going to plant a garden in my backyard and that I'm going to finish my family gallery wall, and that this story of unless I own a house, it is not mine, and therefore there's this unsteady pace and there's this sense of I don't belong, or I'm not rooted, or I'm not committed to a space or a place is not the absolute truth. So if all you get from this is as basic as love your home, whether you own or rent, love it as if it is your masculine container, and allow it to give you the space and the room to show up in your full colors and your full authentic self. And so if that's all that we get from this experience today, then so be it. Sat Nam.